You know, when it comes to nutrition, then we're definitely in the movie The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is?
What if I told you that fat isn't bad for you and the ketogenic diet is one of the healthiest diets out there?
Evil!
What if I told you you don't need to be in ketosis all the time?
The Matrix is everywhere.
What if I told you that you don't lose your keto adaptation if you do eat slightly more carbohydrates? Shocking, I know. People have been eating carbohydrates for thousands of years and all of a sudden they've become the devil. El Diablo.
Like Spanish for like a fighting chicken.
Welcome to the channel, my name is Siim, and in this video I'm going to explain you how you can eat some carbohydrates on the ketogenic diet without losing your keto adaptation.
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
If you want to optimize your body and mind, then make sure you subscribe and click the notification button for future videos. But now let's take the red pill of keto.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Don't get this the wrong way. Most people would dramatically benefit from lowering their carbohydrate intake. The reason is they don't have that high physical demands. For instance, would you really think that Michael Scott from the TV show The Office should follow the same diet as the 4-time CrossFit Games champion and the fittest man on earth, Rich Froning?
As a doctor, you would not tell a patient if they had cancer.
Could you imagine how their individual pancreas and metabolism would react to the same type of food? Let me help you with that. If a person is sedentary the majority of the day and they're staying within quite a low respiration rate, then they're burning mostly fat for fuel. Their glycogen stores remain unused and full. If a person is working out at both high intensities and aerobic activities several times per day, then they're almost always tanked and they're using a ton of glucose for fuel. Your body can store only a certain amount of glycogen, 100 to 150 grams in the liver and up to 300 to 500 grams in the muscles. Giving someone carbohydrates who isn't burning it off still creates the same metabolic reaction by flooding the bloodstream with glucose. What follows is a surge of insulin that tries to re-establish normal blood sugar levels again. The difference is that Rich Froning's muscle cells are so insulin sensitive and they're eager to draw that glucose in for some recovery. Michael Scott's muscle cells on the other hand are already full and they can't keep up with the supply. Over the course of many carbohydrate meals, your cells lose their ability to respond to insulin. This leads to insulin resistance, which happens when the cells don't open up their door to the intake of insulin anymore. Knock knock. Who's there? It's insulin. I got some of that more glucose for ya.
No, God!
That's the main cause of diabetes. Insulin resistance induced by eating too many carbohydrates.
Diabetes.
Too much is a matter of context, and the amount of carbs Rich Froning needs to eat is more than enough to make Michael Scott diabetic back-to-back several times.
Diabetes.
Therefore, how many carbohydrates you should consume and how much your body needs depend a lot on your individual physical conditions. For instance, how hard you train, how often, and how much lean body mass you have. But the thing is that ketosis changes the context completely again. There are a ton of high-level athletes who consume no carbs at all, but they're still performing at elite levels. So ketosis can greatly enhance your physical performance, and to become fat adapted, you first need to establish nutritional ketosis.
Everything the body needs.
Nevertheless, you don't need to be eating strict keto for the rest of your life. And it's even a good idea to occasionally dip in and out of ketosis to promote metabolic flexibility, to prevent food intolerances, and to enhance your performance. I think you've already heard about the two methods of consuming carbohydrates on the ketogenic diet. One is the cyclical ketogenic diet, where you eat low carb for a certain period of time, like a week, and then you have a refeed day where you increase your carb intake. The second method is the targeted ketogenic diet, which involves you using a small dose of strategically incorporated carbohydrates. You have this small dose of high glycemic carbohydrates that will be used during your workout. At other times, you're still eating low carb keto foods and restricting your carb intake. Both the cyclical and the targeted ketogenic diets are great for enhancing your performance and boosting your metabolism.
Fettuccine Alfredo. Time to carbo load.
But which one should you use?
Easy, both.
I myself have experimented with them quite extensively. At the moment I've been doing more of the targeted ketogenic diet because having these high carb refeed days, it might have their negative consequences.
That was weird.
In reality, you can use both the targeted and the cyclical ketogenic diet to achieve any physique endeavor, whether that be Ironman triathlon, bodybuilding, Olympic weightlifting, or even CrossFit. No matter the situation, you can definitely boost your performance by having these slightly higher amounts of carbohydrates strategically incorporated into your nutrition plan. Of course, this doesn't apply to easy activities like walking, jogging, yoga, disc golf, or something else similar that doesn't really tax your glycogen stores. Therefore, you want to be using these strategies to boost your performance, not as an excuse to eat some carbohydrates. So, let's go through some of the scenarios where you can use them. The cyclical ketogenic diet. You would have to be training 5 or more times per week, mostly resistance training. Examples would be bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit, weightlifting, or obstacle course racing. Your goals: build muscle, get stronger, more powerful, have your cake and eat too.
It's carbo loading.
You should have your refeeds either on your most intense workout days or the day after.
Big race tomorrow, so we're carbo loading.
But I have to warn you might feel like shit. If you're feeling like crap the entire next week because of keto flu, then you should dial down on your carb intake and have less frequent refeeds. It's not a good idea to be at a caloric deficit either with the cyclical ketogenic diet, because you might experience some muscle loss because your body is constantly swapping in between fuel sources.
Bulking season for you.
What about the targeted ketogenic diet? Before you do the targeted ketogenic diet, you should be training 4 or more times per week, with mostly resistance training or longer endurance training. Some examples: bodybuilding, weightlifting, CrossFit, powerlifting, Ironman, marathon, rowing, ultra endurance, those types of things. The goals of the targeted ketogenic diet is to build muscle while losing fat at a very slow rate, incremental gains. But the biggest benefit is that you can increase your performance by becoming stronger, faster, and improving your endurance. How many carbohydrates you should consume?
All of it.
It depends a lot on your performance requirements and how do you feel during exercise. Start off with just 5 grams and then add an additional 5 grams per 30 minutes of intense exercise. Hard training athletes can consume up to 30 to 50 grams of carbohydrates during training while staying in ketosis. If you're training twice a day, then have a larger shake during your first workout, and during the second one have a smaller shake. In between the training sessions, you will still be eating keto. When you're not exercising and in the post-workout scenario as well, you have to be eating low-carb keto. And the carbs you do consume during your workout, they also have to be included into your daily carb intake. But chances are it won't affect your ketosis that much because you've burnt off that glucose right away. But what about the standard ketogenic diet? How should you consume some carbs on that one? If you're not training that hard, let's say you're doing resistance training for 3 to 4 times a week with no extra cardio, then the standard ketogenic diet is perfect for you. And this can apply to the same physical activities like powerlifting, weightlifting, endurance, cycling, jogging, yoga, and general fitness. If, however, you're doing these intense bodybuilding circuits or CrossFit, then I highly recommend you to either do the targeted or the cyclical ketogenic diet. But if you're a regular guy who simply wants to be healthy and fit, then standard keto is perfect. And also, if you're doing the targeted ketogenic diet most of the time, but you don't feel like pushing yourself extra hard in that particular day, then you shouldn't feel the need to consume those extra carbs either.
I saved a life. My own.
If you're feeling hyperglycemic and are about to pass out during exercise, then it's a sign that you haven't become keto adapted. You're still in a state where your body is running on a sugar burning metabolism. And before trying the targeted or the cyclical ketogenic diet, you need to build up your fat burning pathways. To do that, you would have to establish nutritional ketosis first and eat the strict ketogenic diet for several weeks. This is going to allow your body to eventually start burning some fat for fuel.
You can feel it when you go to work.
Love it or hate it, but the truth is this: You can use both carbs and ketones for fuel in different scenarios. Of course, you don't need to be implementing these strategies that I mentioned here, but I'm sure that if you do try out, for instance, the targeted ketogenic diet once, you're gonna notice a significant difference in your physical performance. Whatever diet you follow, you wanna be in ketosis and burning your own body fat most of the day to maintain stable energy levels, to have mental clarity, and to promote your health. But some form of exercise requires glucose, and you will be much better off by having some carbohydrates.
Am I a hero? I really can't say, but yes.
Whatever the case may be, you should definitely check out my Keto Fit program. It teaches you how to start the standard ketogenic diet and how to implement these strategies that I mentioned in this video. But other than that, click the like, subscribe, notification bell as well, like always. Thanks for watching. My name is Siim. Stay ketotic, stay empowered.